and burn.
This place is totally rad. Now, unfortunately, it's a little close to town, so it's boarded up, and I will not be able to, at least right now, tear any of those boards down and get inside. I do intend on coming back later, but for now, I can't do that. But I was fortunate enough to locate this place, and even though it doesn't exactly fit what I was looking for, I was planning on doing this movie review in front of this awesome old house from the 50s that I found that's abandoned around here, but it still had a really nice front door that matches the end shot, the end credit shot from this movie. And the movie in question is, I believe it's from 1989. It's Bob Balaban's Parents. Now, this movie, when it came out, it was destroyed by critics. It didn't do very well, theatrically speaking. It didn't make much money. And I think that that's because Bob Balaban has been sort of pigeonholed as being nothing more than a comedy guy, and seeing as how people felt this movie wasn't scary enough, which I thought was crazy, and they didn't find it funny enough, which I agreed with, because they didn't think this movie was funny at all. I don't think that was the intended effect. People still hated this again, and I think that's because of Balaban's direction. They think that he's just going to be some funny guy, always making comedy after comedy. Bob Balaban's known for working a lot of the times with Christopher Guest. He's been in, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind. He was in Waiting for Guffman. He's been in more than that, and I just can't think of anything, but it doesn't matter. So anyways, what this tells the story of is, my God. Michael is a kid growing up in the 1950s suburban America, and his parents, Nick and Lily, played by Randy Quaid and Mary Beth Hurt, they're very stereotypical, sort of, slightly cold helicopter 1950s era parents who just might be cannibals, and who are, quite frankly, just not suited to be parents overall. It's more like they like the presentation of being parents. They like the idea of the nuclear family and that they're a part of it. Because, Randy Quaid, he's just not fit to be a father. He's taken the kid to bed at the start, and he tells this story about how every night before bed, he knew that there was this monster under there. And he's walking his 10-year-old, carrying his 10-year-old son to bed as he's telling this story about how there's a monster under his bed when he was a kid. And he's like, and do you know what happened, son? And the kid's like, what, Dad? And he's like, I grew up to be big and strong, just like my father. And I'm thinking to myself, A, he didn't even address what the hell was under the bed. And B, what the hell kind of story is that to tell a kid in the first place? And if you're going to tell the kid the story about the monster being under the bed, don't you think you should have some fictionalized happy ending where you're like, and then I defeated the monster and I grew up to be a big strong guy just like my father? But no, he just leaves that out. And the kid just kind of goes with it, and he goes to sleep and he dreams of swimming / drowning in blood. And it's like their son, Michael, he knows that there's something so inherently wrong with his family unit. There's something wrong with the blood. And I think that's my favorite thing about this movie is just the tone. I love how it's presented as a 1950s era suburban family comedy drama, I guess. And the comedic side of it would be just how sort of over the top in 1950s this is. But this movie's just off-putting. And I love it because it's the right kind of off-putting. It's not off-putting like, Gaspar Noé's Irreversible. This is off-putting in a really entertaining sense. It's off-putting in sort of a mysterious way where you want to keep watching, you want to keep trying to figure out what's going on and what the hell is wrong with his parents. And then, if I'm not mistaken too, Sandy Dennis, that's right, Sandy Dennis, she plays the elementary school counselor / psychiatrist because she takes an interest in Michael because of his drawing of his family and how fucked up it was. Now, Sandy Dennis, for anybody that cares, she's been around forever. She won the Best Supporting Actress for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. She was in 976 Evil. She was in God Told Me To. Oh, what was the name of her breakthrough movie? I think it was Splendor in the Grass. It doesn't matter. Well, anyways, the reason that I mentioned that Sandy Dennis is in this so prominently is for anybody that's seen the documentary Confessions of a Superhero, starring Christopher Dennis, the guy that is the Hollywood Walk of Fame Superman. He claims that Sandy Dennis is his mother, even though her family disputes this heavenly. Anyone's family is going to dispute these sorts of things heavenly. But nonetheless, I meant to say heavily. Fuck, I almost said heavenly again. Her family disputes this heavily, and I just thought I would throw that in. That she's in this as well. She's killed in the pantry in the kitchen when she's seeing all the cannibalistic madness going on. The knife comes through, down she goes, and they probably eat her. Another favorite thing of mine about this movie is his father. He's some sort of chemist, research, scientist type person who works for a company by the name of Toxico. And at one point, he's showing his boss a display of how he is making some form of Agent Orange that will wipe out the crops whenever it hits it. And it shows this little display that he made out of like real crops and how they all died and they turned to mud. So essentially, instead of working for Toxico, this has to be a bash directly aimed at Monsanto, who, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if Monsanto's around anymore. Because I know Bayer bought Roundup, the cancer-causing weed killer that Monsanto developed. It seems like everything Monsanto touches turns into cancer. I mean, they're responsible for bovine growth hormones. They made Roundup. Monsanto developed Agent Orange for the Americans during the Vietnam conflict. For anybody that doesn't know, Agent Orange was a fucking nightmare. The soldiers who were exposed to high levels of it, they had massive birth defects, they died of various forms of cancer, and they all died young, or their kids were born with so many birth defects they were barely human. And so Monsanto is a piece of shit company that has destroyed so many lives. So Balaban, I mean, that's got to be a nod. Toxico has to be a big fuck you to Monsanto, because if it isn't, I'm not sure why he's shown working on Agent Orange effectively, which Monsanto is super famous for creating. What else did I want to talk about this? I've noticed too that the food is always the focus of this movie, and the food is always kind of exaggerated. Like the celery, when they're chopping it, it's bigger and it seems thicker and healthier almost, and how the kitchen seems to be the focal point of this entire film. And I mean, I guess with cannibals or cannibal movies, that seems to always be the case, like the place where they're preparing their food. Food is this big fucking thing, and they've got to eat people, and it's got to be this whole big production for some reason. I don't understand why cannibals can't just cook up meat like the rest of us. It's always got to be this big religious thing for them. But I noticed that in this as well. I also kind of got the vibe too that this is sort of like, if The Burbs wasn't such a straight comedy, The Burbs would have been Parents. Or Parents would have been The Burbs, too. The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Corey Feldman, among Carrie Fisher and a bunch of other people. I love The Burbs. I wish I lived in that neighborhood. I wish I lived on that crescent, in that little cul-de-sac. I've wanted that like my whole life. That place just seems so bright, and those neighbors seem so colorful and so fun. But yeah, oh, motherfucker, this is 9 minutes. So I think I'm going to stop there because I've been rambling on and on. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discussed Bob Balaban's, I believe, 1989 film, and that is Parents. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is a better place because you are in it. I'm going to go. Have a good day. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.